Hello, and thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments right here in West Buffalo, New York. I'm licensed to preach and I'm ordained as a minister, and I have my master's degree in sacred theological divinity. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. Thank you. Today I'd like to talk to you on a continued basis of my book, Blood-Sucking Banks. And this will be available on Lulu.com and Amazon.com. And basically it talks about how you can protect yourself from overdraft fees and how you can retaliate against the bank and get every penny back that they took out of your account in overdraft fees. The book is available now on Amazon.com, Lulu.com, CreateSpace.com, and at a website and at a bookstore near you. Now, if you'd like me to download a copy of the book to you, I can do that to your iPhone, to your iPad, to your email, or to your tablet, or to your computer, or to your laptop. I can do that for you. I eliminated the middleman, so I can do it for you. So if you're interested in having that done, or if you're getting a copy any other way and you can't go to the bookstore, or you don't have time to visit the website, just email me at sblack3001@gmail.com and let me know, and I'll be glad to get you a copy as soon as possible. Okay, now today I'd like to talk to you on a continued basis of the book. And today's topic will be why are customers so unhappy? Why are customers so unhappy? Okay, and we're going to start with page down. Okay. Well, we already know the reason why customers are so unhappy. Okay, because they're getting charged so many overdraft fees. Okay, customers are unhappy because banks, blood-sucking banks, are charging more fees today than they were yesterday. Okay, and the fees are higher today. The posting order is different, as I discussed with you previously. The way the banks post deposits, okay, and bank fees are based. Banks are a fee-based business. I should say, blood-sucking banks are a fee-based business. That's how they make their money. Money is the lifeblood of the business, as well as the lifeblood of a household. Fees play a direct role in the survival of a bank institution, but customers are unhappy because customers are being forced to pay these fees and are not being told how these fees are being assessed until it's too late. They're not being told how these fees are being charged, until it's too late. And this is why I am going over this with you in the book, Blood-Sucking Banks, which is available on Lulu.com. Now, customers are terribly unhappy. When I was a customer service representative for one of these banks, like I said to you, customers would call up and they would be literally crying on the phone because their monies were taken away from them, and a lot of times they were going to end up being broke for the next 2 weeks to a month before their next check comes in, because any money that you put into that bank, and most of them had direct deposit, those overdraft fees are coming out off the top. Now, blood-sucking banks are charging fees for practically everything. They charge a fee if you call the customer service center too many times. They charge you a fee if you use the automated system too often. They charge annual fees and for certain promotional products, such as rewards programs. A rewards program is where you earn points for purchases and you can redeem these points into cash. However, they don't tell you that you have to have at least about 25,000 points just to redeem a measly $15 to $25 if you're lucky. And of course, we already know an overdraft fee is $39. Okay? And then the money that you get from these rewards programs could take up to 90 days or more before you see a dime. Banks charge you a fee if you use a non-bank ATM machine. They charge you a monthly maintenance fee if you don't meet the account requirements, balance requirements, okay, which are usually pretty high, especially for commercial banks. Okay? And most of these banks, the bank that I work for is a commercial bank. If they are insured by FDIC, yes, they are a commercial bank. Okay, banks charge a fee for getting your balance at an ATM machine. They call it an inquiry fee. Banks charge fees for checks that bounce. And they charge fees, they charge fees for using the bank's money in overdraft protection. Banks charge a fee for early withdrawal or closing your account too early. Okay? These are just a few of the fees that the banks charge that they don't tell you about, that are supposed to be in the disclosure, but that are not disclosed. Isn't that ironic? Now, according to CBS Money Watch, people have grown unhappier with their banks over the last year, to say the least. And even smaller banks are feeling customers' wrath. According to the report by the American Customer Satisfaction Index, the ASCI, the growing dissatisfaction comes as banks across the country roll out new fees each and every time you turn around. In addition to the traditional charges for overdrafts, insufficient funds, and minimum balance requirements, banks are introducing new fines designated to generate additional revenue. Designated from customers. You know, like we have money and tree growing in our backyard. You know what I'm saying? These banks already have broadly raised the fees. Okay, average checking account charges hit new heights in 2014 according to the money rates. The average minimum balance required to waive the monthly maintenance fee, for example, is now as much as $5,440. Who's got $5,000 to keep in the bank? Americans actually had been feeling better about banks before last year, before 2014. The average customer's happiness with banks was on a 2-year rise, but higher fees and higher customer dissatisfaction go hand in hand. The typical checking account can now get hit with nearly 3 dozen potential fees all at once. And you don't even know what's going on until your money hits the bank and you go to withdraw money or pay a bill, and then you call the customer service department and want to know what happened to my money. The bank took it in overdraft fees. Okay? So now that 2-year happiness uptrend has been reversed. Banking customer satisfaction fell 2.6% to 76 on the index. And it wasn't just for too big to fail banks getting black marks either. Smaller banks, which typically get higher customer service ratings, are also launching more fees and saw a large drop in customer satisfaction, falling 4% to 80 on the index. Among the largest banks, customers are least dissatisfied with, and this particular bank that I list in this book here, giving the institution a score of 69 out of 100. And you probably know them. This particular bank is the only large bank that hasn't reached its procession level of customer satisfaction. Another bank institution came out second worst on the list with a 72. And the list goes on and on and on. Okay? So now, a growing number of customers are finding that the best way to avoid bank fees may be to avoid banks altogether. Okay? That might have to be the result of that. You know, you can always change banks at your discretion anytime you get ready. You're not obligated to keep your account at that bank. Not whatsoever. If you get hit with an early withdrawal fee, it's probably better than getting hit with a overdraft fee. Okay? Now you know about these two banks that are merging, right? Remember, they have to get the approval. And there's been an additional month extension placed to give you and I, regular people, an opportunity to speak our views out. Okay? And you can find that forum on the internet in terms of how you can speak out and ask or let the people who need to know, should these two banks merge or should they not? And what reasons should they not merge? Or what reasons should they merge? First of all, I believe that it's going to put a lot of individuals out of a job. The bank is looking out for themselves. Okay? This is going to be initiated by the banks, and this is going to be for the banks. They've never been for the people, as you can see, because they are a fee-based bank. And yes, they are hiring and they're creating jobs. However, a lot of jobs are going to be lost. What's going to happen now, you got this bank over here and you got another bank across the street. They were both different banks at one time, and now they're merging. What's going to happen to one of those branches? They're not going to have two branches right across the street from each other with the same name. That's going to be unproductive. Okay? So that sounds to me like, yeah, you are going to lose your job. Okay? In addition to that, the individuals who are currently working for the bank now may be swamped and overloaded with calls or with whatever responsibility that you were hired to do, which may be tremendously overwhelming for one person at the salary level that you were hired. Okay? It's no telling, like I said, the banks are looking out for themselves, and we need to look out for ourselves too. Okay? As of today, this particular bank has over 400 branches across the 4 states and 52 in the Buffalo-Niagara region. Many of these branches are within walking distance of this other particular bank branches, the two banks that are merging together. Okay, when they talked to ABC News, they said that our leadership is committed to telling employees what they know when they know it. In fact, next week, the two heads of the bank corporation will be in several New York markets next week to meet with employees and talk with them about the agreement. Okay? But what about customers? What will it mean for transferring things like credit card debt, mortgages, and loans? Okay, a spokesman responded, "It is anticipated a seamless transition to combined services since both banks place clients at the center of all we do. We can assure you that initially you will not change how you bank. If you are this particular bank's client, you will remain this particular bank's client. If you are that bank's client, you will remain that bank's client. Although it's going to now be one name, so you have the two different banks with two different names that are going to merge, and they're now going to combine into one name." Okay? Now it says, remember that keyword initially. It says initially. It will not change how you bank. What's going to happen after you merge? What's going to happen down the road, 6 months later? Are you going to change the way you bank? Are there going to be changes that I need to know about now before you make this merger so that I'll know what I'm up against and I can make preparations to decide for myself and my family what to do with my money? Are you going to be open and honest enough to tell me what's going to happen after the initial stage, which, if they're approved, they will go into effect as of October of this year, 2016. It will be in effect as of 2016. So that's when the initial phase will start. And of course, you can't do everything at once. So yes, initially, you will not change how you bank. What happens after the initial phase is done? Okay, these are questions that you need to ask. What's going to happen to my account? What's going to happen to my mortgage? What's going to happen to my deposit? Okay, how are you going to change the way you bank? Are overdraft fees going to go up? Okay, is anything else going to change? Are you going to change your posting order, the way you post my deposits? You know, what other things that are going to change after the initial stage is done? 3 months, 6 months down the line after you've merged, what's in it for me? What can I look forward to as a customer of yours? Now, what about something like interest rates, which we all know that banks don't give much anyway these days. They give you maybe a whopping 0.5%, and that's if you have $100,000 in the bank. Okay, remember, both of these banks that are merging are commercial banks. They're both governed by the FDIC. Okay, and that means that they're commercial banks because they're governed by the FDIC. Commercial banks are made for businesses. Okay, savings banks are for people. Okay, so I mean, you have to remember that the banks are looking out for themselves. They're looking out for their own best interests. This particular bank says there will be no surprises, that you already know what to expect because you've already been getting this. You've already been getting hit with fees from these blood-sucking banks. So you already know they're not going down on the price. They will probably more than likely go up. Okay? Don't let them fool you. Investigation and potential class action lawsuits against them for allegedly wrongfully charging overdraft fees has been initiated at some point or another. Many of their employees have complained about being charged overdraft fees. In one scenario, it is alleged that this particular bank resequences debit card transactions to maximize overdraft fees. Consider the following example. Time 1. You have $100,000 in the bank, in your bank account. Time 2. You use your debit card at Starbucks for $20. You use your debit card at the gas station for $5, and you use your debit card at the grocery store for $105. This particular bank reorders the debits and posts the latest occurring 105 first, and then charges an overdraft fee. This particular bank then posts the $20 debit and then charges a second overdraft fee. This particular bank then posts the $5 debit and charges a third overdraft fee. In order to, and if the bank would have posted the debits in order in which they actually occurred, you only would have incurred one overdraft fee instead of 3 overdraft fees of $39 each. This bank's practice of reordering debit card transaction constitutes an unlawful deception trade practice. And if you want to know what bank it is, then you just get a copy of my book, Bloodsucking Banks, which is available on Amazon.com and Lulu.com. Okay, it's by yours truly, Dr. Sylvia Black. Okay, I used to work for them, so I know the insider secrets. I used to answer the phone for the customers who used to call in and complain. There was one customer that had put her check in the bank, $1,000 check, and she had wrote 3 or 4 checks against her check, her deposit that she made. So you and I would assume, and you would assume, yeah, I got enough money in there to cover these checks, right? I put my money in the bank to deposit, and then I write 3 checks, and what happens? Those 3 checks bounce. You get charged 3 overdraft fees, and then your deposit posts last. Why? Because they post low to high. Low deposits post first, and then high deposits post last. Okay, so you have $1,000, $100, $50, and $25. That $25 is going to post first. If there's not enough in the account, you're going to get hit with a $39 overdraft fee. If the check bounces, your bank or that other institution in which you were writing the check to is also going to charge you an overdraft fee. So you're going to get hit double. Okay? There may have been inconveniences that have been caused in your life that has resulted in these overdraft fees. Perhaps, for example, your car may have been repossessed because in fact you had enough money to pay these bills. You deposited your check, and you shouldn't have to go through that mess. Okay, I heard one lady on the phone. I said, can't you call your car dealership up and ask them for an extension? She said, I shouldn't have to go through that. I have enough money in the account. I put my deposit in the bank today. I told her, I said, but we post low to high though. I said, so the best way to do that would be to put your $1,000 check in the bank today, and then tomorrow you write those checks to pay your bills. You don't write your checks on the same day. There's a way around it. There's definitely a way around it. You know what I mean? If you deal in small amounts of money, like, hundreds of dollars, there's a way around that you can avoid overdraft fees. And there are specific accounts that will allow you to open that do not charge overdraft fees, whatever. So if there's not enough money in the account, it will not clear and you won't get hit with an overdraft fee. But if you write too many of them knowing that there's not enough money in there, your account will be closed, and then you will be charged a fee for excessive writing of checks where you know there wasn't no money in there. Okay? It is further alleged that this particular bank debits purchases from ATM, debit and check cards and credit cards written for the account before it credits deposits into the account for the same reason. But two embodiments of what may be this particular bank's practice of charging its customers unlawful fees. If you have been charged an overdraft fee by this particular bank, there's a way that you can get your money back. Okay, there's definitely a way that you can retaliate against these banks, as you say, against these blood-sucking banks, and you can get your money back. Okay? You can get a copy of the book, Blood-Sucking Banks. It will tell you everything you need to know, which I'll be discussing right here on the air, okay, at some point or another, sooner or later. So if you've been charged, with the bank, you can get your money back. And I discussed that with you probably another. There are several blood-sucking banks that I list in my book. All of them are biggies, okay? And a lot of them have been charged with illegal deception practices. And this other particular bank, a $4 million settlement has been reached in a class action lawsuit order about the order in which this other particular bank posts dead debit card transactions to customers' accounts. Okay? And the alleged effect the posting order had on the number of overdraft fees charged to the account holders. This particular bank maintains that there was nothing wrong about the posting process used and that is not violating any laws. This particular bank denies any wrongdoing. Okay? And of course they're going to deny it. Would you admit that you did anything wrong? But yet a $4 million settlement has been reached, so that all of those people are going to get their money back. Okay, and I'm going to show you how you can do it. You don't have to do a class action suit. You can do it on your own by yourself without a lawyer. And when you do sue, and I'm going to explain to you about that. I shouldn't be jumping the gun, but I'm going to touch upon it a little bit. When you do decide to sue on your own without the help of a lawyer, you can get your money back. Okay, there are what they call punitive damages. Okay, pain and suffering. If for some reason or other, let's say for example, you were charged an excessive amount of overdraft fees, and then your rent became due, you may have gotten evicted out of your apartment, or you may have even gotten threatening notices, which caused you to have to take off from work, and you may have lost your job as a result of that. All kinds of stuff could have happened. Your car could have gotten repossessed. You could have gotten threatened to get put out. You may have gotten put out. You may have... You didn't have the bills that you needed to buy what you needed for yourself. You couldn't put food on your table. Your gas or electric bill may have been shut off. You probably had to make an arrangement with them. Okay? These overdraft fees that these blood-sucking banks are charging may have actually caused you an additional inconvenience. And that is what you call punitive damages. So when you go to court, and I'm going to explain to you how to do this on your own without the help of a lawyer. When you go to court and you file this lawsuit against them, first of all, you're going to sue them for every overdraft fee that they charged you. Every single one, whether it was rightful or not. Whether you believe that they should have charged you or not. Every single one that's on your bank account. So get your bank accounts out now. Call the bank up, tell them you want to order a copy of it. Go online and look it over, make copies, and add up all those overdraft fees that they have charged you. Okay? In addition to that, you're also going to sue for probably maybe double that. So let's say if the amount of overdraft that they charged you over the last year resulted in about $1,000. Okay, let's say you only had your account with this bank for a year. You could have had an account with another bank. But let's just say hypothetically this is the situation. You had your account with them, let's say even 3 years, and over the last 3 years they have charged $3,500 in overdraft fees, and it's not hard because each one of those overdraft fees are actually $39. Okay, 10 of those comes to $3,900. So they could have very easily charged you $3,500 in overdraft fees in the last year, much less in the last 3 years. So let's say that they charged you this, and as a result of this, you suffered additional inconvenience. You may have been hospitalized, something. You may have undergone stress because of the undue stress that was related to the fact that now you can't pay your bill that you need to pay. Okay, because they took the money in overdraft fees and nobody didn't tell you anything. And yes, you can call the bank customer service representative and ask them if they can waive any of those fees. The requirements are strict. Okay, I think you have to have an account for 3 years. They will count up and calculate any amount of overdrafts that you have accumulated over the last year. And the type of account also is important. That will determine whether you qualify to have 1, 2, or 3 overdraft charges removed. Okay? You can call them up. Why not? Call them up and ask them. Go into the branch and ask them. You want to do as much as you can to see how cooperative they're going to be, because that's going to be evidence when you go to court. And you're going to tell the judge, you're going to say, Your Honor, I went into the bank. I did this and I did that. I asked them for as much help. I went into the branch and I asked them to eliminate some of these withdrawal fees. I called the customer service 5 times on this day, that day, and I got a record of my phone bill. And I asked these blood-sucking banks if they would reduce the fee. And this is the diligence. You're going to say, I kept asking them, and I asked them over and over again. I wrote them a letter. I explained to them, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, and whatnot. And to no avail, they did not reduce any of these fees. So here's a copy of my bank statement, and I totaled up a total of, let's say $3,500 in this case, on overdraft fees. In addition to that, I'm suing for an additional $3,500 or whatever the maximum is in this particular court. Let's say an additional $7,000 because I was put out of my apartment. I was evicted because I didn't have enough money in my account to pay my bill after they took out all those overdraft fees and refused to give them back. Or my car was repossessed because I wasn't able to pay my car note. And they don't work out payment arrangements. So that's what you call punitive damages. You sue them for the actual amount of the overdraft fees that these blood-sucking banks took from you. And then you additionally sue them also for the amounts of punitive damages. Whatever the maximum allowable in court. You just pick a number and just add it up. Whatever sounds good. Yeah, I can use that about now. Okay, that sounds good. And I've been talking about my book, Blood-Sucking Banks, which is available on Amazon.com, Lulu.com. Okay, you can get one now. You can get a copy of it right now if you so desire. And don't forget, I will be discussing how you can fight back on your own, and you can get these fees back from these people, from these blood-sucking banks. Okay, and you can do it on your own, and you don't have to hire a lawyer. You don't have to pay a lawyer. Okay, so I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And I ask you to join me again next week right here on Time Warner Public Access TV Channel 20, Wednesday 6:30 to 7, and Saturdays from 12:30 to 1 in the afternoon. Also, you can visit my YouTube address at sblack3001. That's my YouTube channel where these videos will be posted. You can also hit me up on Facebook, Dr. Sylvia Black, Black Preacher Network. And if you act now and you get a copy of Blood-Sucking Bank, you can get a copy of this book also. Identity Thief. Identity Theft. Holler at a sister.